Alright, gamers, what is up? This is my piece de resistance. This is, uh, you saw the title. It is my Minecraft movie video essay. It is probably fair to say, the main reason that I wanted to start this channel. This is like the main idea I had that I wanted to spread, that I wanted to put out there after watching this movie. And this movie did kind of like change my outlook in a way. And just in this video, I'll give more of a kind of a, channel little update. I want this channel, with this type of content that I'm producing, I want this channel to be, the way I think about it, when I watch YouTube, I want this channel to be something that you can be proud of watching, something that you don't look back on yourself watching and you feel bad about it, right? Because when you'll scroll shorts for a while, or you'll be looking at a certain video, like, one of those generic videos, like like street interviews where the people are like stupid as crap, or like those yellow or red, and then they break something and it's yellow or red. Like, I want this to be feel good content, brain nourishment, if you will. I want you to watch my channel and feel educated, because that's what I look for on going on YouTube. I see content, and I'd rather look for the content that I feel like I'm going to learn something from this, rather than content that in a few minutes, I'll look back and I'll be like, this is kind of like, why did I do this? Why did I feel disgusting now? And it's a general process of almost getting yourself off of YouTube. I put that screen time video out a few days back, and my screen time, of course, is slowly inching back up, so I'm trying to wean myself back off of that. It's been hard in the summer now. Just graduated high school. I'll probably make a video about that soon. Trying to keep myself occupied and busy, but it is what it is. So I want this to be a feel-good channel, stuff that you can watch, and you watch just this video and you're like, that's enough YouTube for today, and you still learn something, rather than watching an equivalent length video and you'll be like, that's enough YouTube for today, and now I feel like a weirdo because I was watching some absolute brain rot. So we're trying to make this brain nourishment a good channel to watch. Right, so the Minecraft movie. Let's get started about that. First, I should give a general, as many of us did, those of the younger ages, when the Minecraft movie came out, me and my friends were all rushing ahead to the theater, excited to see it with our little propeller hats and our comically large lollipops, just like a bunch of little goofballs, just on our way to go see the Minecraft movie. And it was absolute garbage. I'm sorry, but like, this is probably one of the, for the budget, I'm not exactly sure what their budget was, but the casting, I mean, they got Jason Momoa and Jack Black. I gotta assume they have a decently sized budget. So yeah, this was terrible. The only reason it wasn't like blow my brains out in the movie theater bad was because I was with my friends, so we were laughing and cracking jokes the whole time about how bad it was, but it was general garbage. I mean, it was slop to the highest degree. Like, the only people that I have found that have enjoyed the movie were nostalgic of Minecraft, and it's not even a condition, right? Not everyone that's nostalgic for Minecraft enjoyed the movie, but everyone that I know that enjoyed the movie was nostalgic of Minecraft, right? So it's like that whole, this is this, but this is not this. So yeah, I mean, very few small people that actually like enjoyed the movie as it was, as it is. But I feel like that's stupid, because if you need to be nostalgic, if you need to be experienced in the fan base or the lore of a movie to enjoy it, it's not a good movie. Anyways, and it's just like, I feel like it's just a continuation of how bad kids movies are getting these days. You watch any kids movies these days, Kung Fu Panda 4. Admittedly, Kung Fu Panda 4 was like decent. In terms of kids, like, nothing compared to the first three, absolutely not. But like, in terms of other, like the SpongeBob knockoffs that they're coming out with these days are just disgusting. It shocks me to see what they've done with SpongeBob. It's disgusting. The Sandy spinoff, the Karen spinoff, the Plankton's wife Karen. It's a massacre what they've done to SpongeBob. I mean, it's I can't watch that and feel good about myself. It feels like I'm watching brain rot on YouTube. That's what it feels like. It's, man, I should do a video about that. Huh. Brain rot, but, and kids movies are brain rot these days. I'm sorry, but and this Minecraft movie is just kind of a continuation of that. Another reminder of what the kids movies franchise is at these days. Anyways, enough about that. So, let's get to the video. And you've read the title right. Yes, the Minecraft movie is actually an existential horror movie. So just for a quick vocabulary lesson for you chuds that may not know what the existentialism is, it is a branch of philosophy dealing mostly with how one will find meaning in their life, how one will find a meaning to exist, if you will, how they will go about their life, and what this reflects about how they choose to find a purpose, what to do with their life. In essence, saying that the Minecraft movie is an existential horror movie is to say that it's a movie that is meant to reflect upon, the way I take it, it's meant to reflect, make the viewer reflect upon themselves. And this is specifically, esoterically, it's an existential horror movie for older viewers, not the average viewer that watches this, whose vocabulary, lexicon, if you will, consists of skibbity and gyat. So it's for older viewers. Obviously, they're not really going to get this effect on the younger viewers. But maybe it was just a little something for the adults that are taking these children that they've raised with iPads and internet and been absent from their lives, to cause them to reflect upon their parenting methods and maybe their life as a whole, and kind of like reflect and see if they've really been living life as they should be. So an existential horror movie meant to reflect upon their viewers, you know, am I living my life to my fullest purpose? Am I just living it as a robot, if you will, just kind of the same routine, soulless? Am I not part of my work? Am I not involved with what I'm doing? Am I just kind of breezing through life? Not necessarily going with the flow, because that has a positive connotation, but sort of letting the flow take you, if you will, rather than going with the flow. Being impassive to whatever is thrown your way. So, I mean, what can you say? Let's just start it off at somewhere. I mean, right away, this is kind of like the first thing that's put out into the movie. It starts with the scene of, you got, the movie's introduced with Steve's old life, if you will. He's the only person that's involved at his job. He's excited, he's rambunctious, he's got a good idea about a theme park, and I mean, right away, just the movie hits you with this dreary corporate office setting where everyone's doomy, and like they're doomers, doomer wave and stuff. They're probably all listening to like Gallo Dance doomer wave remix, and they're just like, they're not involved in their life. They have no soul. They're not reacting to Steve's great idea. And he's eating his TV dinner that looks just soulless, and it's a really interesting way to start a kids movie, almost like sucking the soul out of any older viewers watching this already. Just like it's sort of like it's a weird start for sure. And this is how we get introduced to the mines, how Steve finds the mines, the Minecraft block or whatever it is, right? That's just our introduction to the movie. And I'm going to show you this next clip in isolation without me talking.
Turns out pandas love to party. And cows! Life was perfect.
So one thing you may notice from some of these clips is it's actually pretty funny. I was recording the clips for this video essay, of course, and I was recording them from let's just say that I'm not going to pay for this movie, right, again, because I already watched it once, so to get these clips, I'm not going to pay for this movie. Um, and it had a lot of it was still the unfinished version, so there was, as you can see with a lot of these clips, there is a lot of unfinishedness. That clip that you just saw with all the pandas was that music. It's one of those Minecraft parodies. Stuff again. Baby tonight. I don't remember the song, but yeah, that's obviously not in the full finished movie. So, and I kept it in on purpose. I could have, because you'll see that half of these clips are from the finished version, because I was recording clips one day, and the next day is when it became the finished version, and I kept them because I was like, that panda scene really made me think. Right, I don't think it matters if the let's say that you're Steve, right? In real life, not in this movie, and you go to this whole new world where there's these completely different animals and creatures and stuff. Would it matter if they looked like the pandas from the unfinished version or the pandas from the finished version? I don't think so. These are completely new. You got no idea what these are. I mean, they vaguely resemble a panda because they're black and white and they're fat, but I mean, other than that, this is like a whole, it might as well be aliens for us. This could just be an alien world. Like, for us, it doesn't matter if they're going to be finished or unfinished looking like that. These are still completely new and weird. And Steve is just all of a sudden okay with that. And I mean, this next scene that it kind of cheeses me, it rubs me the wrong way. This scene where he's looking for companionship, and he chooses a dog, and it just interests me that he goes for a dog right away, not any of the humanoid looking figures like the villagers or anything. An iron golem, maybe, I don't know, something that vaguely resembles a human. I don't know if you've read into this, but like social isolation, or I don't know what the word is slipping my tongue right now. It's like on the tip of my tongue. That that the punishment they use in prisons where you're alone, solitary confinement, there we go, like that, like I think it was something like 3 days of solitary confinement, actual solitary confinement. You have no phone, no contact. The person that gives you your food, you don't see them, they just put it in through a slot. It's maybe it's like 3 days of that like is enough to cause like lasting mental damage. I'm not sure if that's still accurate or if that was like just like pseudoscience, but that it sounds plausible, right? Because we humans are inherently social creatures and we need social interaction. So, but I mean, this guy is looking for companionship and he chooses a dog, and it something about that just kind of it it grinds my gears. You know, it makes me think like, this guy might be a little psycho. Like he's in a world where there is no other humans to speak of. The villagers barely look human, and they don't talk like a dialect of planet Earth. You know, these guys are aliens. And I mean, that's what he goes for, a dog for companionship. So you got to wonder, and then he's doing questionable things with this dog. Well, okay, that sounds kind of bad, but not questionable things. Just like, you know, he's the one that is jumping in the air and catching the frisbee, which was funny. I'll give you that. Jack Black was actually, he was the only saving grace for this movie. Let's be real. He made all the funny jokes. I mean, I gotta give credit to Jason Momoa, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, just this scene where he's choosing a dog for his companion is a bit weird to me. But you know, movie's just started. We're 10 minutes in. You know, we'll let it play out. So after Steve's life, we're introduced to Garrett the Garbage Man, our second main character. He is, well, let's go through this bit by bit, right? Because we're sticking to the topic, existential horror movie. So, Garrett the Garbage Man, a little bit background. He was a professional gamer. He was super good at some two-player game, playing by himself. Now that I think of it, that is kind of... We'll talk about that later. But anyways, we're introduced to him. We're introduced to his daily routine. Obviously, his professional gaming days are way far beyond him. Far behind him, sorry. And he is now living in his life. We get a nice juxtaposition scene where it has clips from his old life and comparing it to now, but he's still trying to kind of live it out, relive those days, if you will. And so, just to get into our topic, the existential horror movie part. I mean, right away, again, as with Steve, but this is in the present day now, we see that it's you only see this if you're looking for it, but just his not looking for it, but paying attention, right? Watching the movie, paying attention. Um, the town that his shop is set in, you get this almost corporate ghost town, abandoned. Not many people live there. This is like probably their main street, and it's just absolutely empty. It's like an old aging population. We already see that, right? Again, we're giving this kind of like sense of a soulless corporate town, and it kind of is. But we'll talk on that later because we're still trying to do this chronologically. Right. So an abandoned town that has nothing left for it. It's struggling to stay economically afloat. And after that, we're given a glimpse into Garrett's life, his old life, and reality hits, and it is shown that he is about to be evicted, assuming that he can't pay his bills. I think that is the reason. And what I was wondering about earlier is, well, we'll talk about that later. Actually, I think that's better saved for later. But yeah, right away we're given this again, this guy that is not able to live his life, and it's a nice juxtaposition. We have two different ways that people have tried to escape thinking about meaning, thinking about their life. Right? We have Steve. We have Steve, who was so bored with the same endless, boring, mundane drivel of his daily life that he almost finds he wants something entirely new. He finds this might as well be, like I said earlier, it might as well be a new planet with how familiar it is, with how similar it is to Earth, or therefore the lack of similarities to Earth. Everything's completely different. Everything looks different. It might as well be a different planet. And this is how Steve finds his meaning. This is why it makes him so hard for him to give it up, to go back to the real Earth at the end of the movie. Because this is just something completely new. I mean, this is a whole new planet, if you, people, like, come on. This is, like, Steve is like, this is me. There's nobody... Maybe that's why he's so content with being alone. Man, these ideas just pop into my head as I talk about it. This is why you can feel good watching this kind of video, because I'm talking to you directly, viewer, fellow patriots. I mean, like, maybe that's why he's so content with being alone on this planet, because this is his, There's no other humans here. It's his and his alone, and he gets to discover this whole new world for himself. He gets to make a whole new life for himself, and he's got a great start over. And that's one way that one person might cope with meaningless, translating that to real life. Someone that's bored with themselves might decide to move to another country, another continent, thinking that this is gonna help them. This is gonna help them find a purpose again in life, thinking that this is gonna help them become happier, maybe. And that's just one way that people might look at it, And then we have Jason Momoa, Garrett the Garbage Man, Garrett. His way of trying to keep a purpose, almost entirely contrasting to that of Steve's, is clinging so hard onto his old life, which was successful. I'll give him that. It was successful at one point, and it's the only thing he knows, so he has to cling really hard to that, and that's what he's clinging to in his real life. Instead of looking for something entirely new, he shies away from the new. He stays with what he knows. And again, to translate this to real life, this might translate to someone that is scared that if they split their past, if they try to explore new places, try to explore new things, new experiences, they're scared that they'll lose their purpose, because they believe that their purpose was wow, I'm really good at this. They believe that their purpose was this thing, so they cannot stray away from this thing at all. They must stay on this path, because that is the only way they will have purpose in this life, and that is the only way they will find meaning in this life, by staying to what they know. I am really good at this. These ideas pop into my head as I talk about it. I'm actually re-recording this because the first clips that I had made for this video, I didn't really like them that much. I was still like stuttering and speaking a lot, so I decided to re-record. And all these ideas just pop into my head now as I think about it. And wow, this is like really good stuff. That's why you can feel good about watching this, because we're talking. Me and you, we're having a discussion. That's what I like. You're throwing me ideas and I'm picking up on them as you watch. Okay, so Garrett the Garbage Man down. Next, we're introduced to our two main youth characters. The kid and his older sister, who is presumably above 18. She's a valid legal guardian, I suppose. So, even though she does not look that old, we're introduced to these next two characters, and we're not given much for a backstory. All we know is their mother died. They're moving to this new town. The sister says it's because it's what the mother would have wanted. I'm not sure why the mother would have wanted you to move to a broken down town. Maybe that's all they could afford. That would have made more sense. They could have just said that than saying it's what the mother would have wanted. But, yeah, anyways, not much for backstory. Kid is disappointed because he's super creative and no one sees it. So, yeah. And right away to the introduction, they're greeted by one. I wouldn't really call her a main character. She's probably like a good side character. The lady, you'll have to excuse me. The only person, Henry. That was the boy's name. I'm not remembering of those three. Of the three that I just listed, the lady and the two kids, I'm only remembering Henry. Yeah. You'll have to excuse me. I'm not remembering the rest of their names. They're greeted by this other lady, and I mean, right away it's kind of like another reflection of, again, another idea. So this lady is, we're told later in the movie that she works like 20 different side hustles, and we're introduced to her mobile petting zoo. And this mobile petting zoo, as you can see, it's kind of just
call me if you need anything.
So much sound going on, so much this unpleasantness,
really
and it's
mom.
really dissonant,
It's really great
and
what you're doing.
it gives it a hellish vibe, like disgusting, hellish. Who would want to do this, And it's just, again, the movie writer is giving us another sense of a meaningless life, that this mobile petting zoo is just like, you're really struggling, and you'll take whatever you can get. You'll resort to carrying around all these animals that are like, just bleeding and making it so much sound, impossible to get any rest or anything. Again, just this whole like unpleased with life sense is what we're getting. And right after that, the kids go into their home, and the choice of the lighting that it's not really that bright outside. And sorry, before that, the town again. You can see the town, and you get your suspicions confirmed. It is a corporate town. Chuggy the potato chip. It's Chugless. It's a factory town, if you will, where probably more likely than not, pretty much probably, I'm sure, more than half the town is employed by this one factory. That's where all their economy lies. That's the only thing keeping them afloat. You get our suspicions, dear viewer, are confirmed. This is a corporate town, soulless. You can't really have much meaning there. Nothing happens in that town. There's nothing going on, nothing of note, nothing interesting going on. It's this factory town, People work in this factory, they get paid, and they live their life. And, then as the kids enter their home, the lighting is super off-putting. It's dystopian. It feels like there's no soul here, like nothing. There's someone living in the place, but it's just a house. It's not a home. There's no attachment to it. And I mean, wow, these I gotta say, these I don't know what you would call them, setting design. Yeah, setting design. Right, that's probably what you would call them. They really know how to drive it home, and I'm getting the feeling that the setting design people and maybe some of the writers were just doing an entirely different movie. They didn't care about no kids movie. They wanted to make an existential horror movie. They wanted to scare all you non NPCs, all the people like me and you, because you're watching my channel. They wanted to scare us into realizing how important it is to find a good meaning and to live somewhere where it gives you soul and purpose. They wanted to scare us into thinking that. And they're just doing something completely different. Like, these people are making a kids movie. We're waking up the populace to see what they're meant to be, what we are, what us few people, the arcane, the special. You watching my channel. Yeah. So, introduced to that, more of the scenery. And for most of this content, I'm trying to talk in a way where later I'll be able to edit the videos on top, because I know I'm probably yapping a lot, so I'll be able to edit the videos on top so you're watching them at the same time as you're speaking. But I wanted to give you this next clip, which is of the one of the kids' teachers explaining his financial situation. I wanted to give you that alone so you could focus fully on it.
Good morning. Just a little something about myself. I teach gym, I teach art. Financially, I'm living in a nightmare, okay? I wouldn't wish my life on my worst enemy. Last year, I claimed $4,000 on my tax return. So in the summer, I do clams and oysters down by the airport. But most of my money is tied up in a drone kiosk at the mall.
So, I mean, again, like, these people have a very clear idea of what they want to do in this movie. We see that again. This teacher is struggling financially. He's an art and a gym teacher. I believe that's what it was. He has multiple other side businesses. He runs a drone kiosk at the mall. That's where his money is tied up in, and this has to be purposeful. This is it's so depressing and sad for a kids movie, right? It can't be a kids movie. This has to be an existential horror movie for older viewers. You have your younger kids; they'll just watch that and laugh, be like, whatever, haha, guys is struggling with finances, but like, if you took any one of these scenes in isolation and they were in the movie and that was it, whatever. It's just one scene, trying to put some variety into these movies. But, you gotta feel like the director putting this many clips showing this depressing, sad, dreary lifestyle, that's gotta be purposeful, right? Like, it can't just be like, it's not world building. This is just like, this is it. This is the movie. And this is like, wow. I mean, it's really depressing. It's meant to serve as a wake-up call to us, right? Not to the young kids, whatever. They're probably on their iPads. They're holding it right here, watching Subway Surfers as they watch the movie, playing Subway Surfers. Pardon, which I hope you're not, because you want to be paying full attention to this video, and like, it has to be for a point, right? They have to be including all these clips for a point, to make a point, which is what I believe, which is why I'm making this video essay. And then, you've got, after you got the teacher, of course, the kid's creativity is squashed, as in all the movies where a kid is super creative. He's told not to draw his fruit with a jetpack. And then when he somehow goes and builds a jetpack, of course, that functions at all. That's impressive in of itself, that it functions. It still, like, messes up and he destroys the town mascot, but it still functions, which for what is he, a 6th grader or something? That's still pretty damn impressive. So we then get our first interaction between two of our main characters, the kid and Garrett the garbage man. And it's a quite ironic interaction, as you've just seen. He says non-committal. That's the classic loser mentality. And he offers a program how to win at the game of life. Definitely ironic here. I mean, come on. This guy's obviously not winning at the game of life. He's running a failing store. He's like, what, probably 40. I'm sure you could do the math with the gaming championship thing, but probably like 45 or something in this movie, right? He's got no family, no wife, no kids, anything, no friends to even speak of. I'm just gonna be real. Like, he's got nothing. What is he winning at the game of life? His store's about to close. He's run through a $6 million contract, which, I mean, not 6 million, sorry, six digit dollar contract. What are you winning at, pal? And I guess it's kind of like a take on being committed, because ironically, him being committed to this lifestyle that's no longer able to support him. He can't make a living as a gamer anymore, which is BS. I mean, he could probably be a Twitch streamer or something, but this movie almost feels like it's set in like maybe, I want to say early 2000s. Maybe it's not supposed to be in the modern day, especially with that clip at the beginning of Steve. It's obviously made to look like a very old office corporate setting. So maybe he can't do Twitch, you know? Maybe he can't. Well, we'll give him the credit there. Again, I'm sure someone could do the math with like what year the gaming tournament took place, but I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing that. So, again, an ironic scene kind of showing why this guy, he is so, I guess, I don't know if he is self-deluded, because he's very, later in the movie, he is very, honest with himself. Like, I have nobody. I am nothing. So I don't know if at this point he's self-deluded in this character development later in the movie where he realizes that he's alone, or if he's just trying to, not like ignorant, but trying to feed himself his own life. Fake it till you make it, if you will. He's trying to feed himself this, that he's a winner, that he's not losing at life. I mean, I can't see, like, I can't see any other way how he thinks that he can give advice at how to win at the game of life.
I'm gonna give you a hot
Some more ironic
Friendship's
advice
like
from
a
our
puzzle.
man Garrett the
Sometimes
Garbage
you think
Man
you need
here.
lots of pieces to be cool, and sometimes it's just one
I mean,
piece.
he is very bad. It would have been
Maybe
really
we'll be
funny
like,
if I
not
think
a puzzle.
maybe they did do
It's a
this.
picture.
I really do not remember anything about this movie because it was so garbage, and I have like an almost eidetic memory, so that says something. Like I was really just checked out of this movie. It would have been really funny if the director showed like a scene where he's like struggling to put together a puzzle or something. Like, he's waiting for like Steve and he's trying to put together a puzzle and he's struggling because, friendship, he's not very good at it, and he's saying it's like a puzzle. Maybe it's more like a picture, if you will. And he's a video game player, and TV is referred to as a moving picture. I don't know. I'd have to really get deep into autistically over analyzing this, but I mean, if friendship is, people would say friendship's like a picture. I don't know. But again, ironic advice. You're not exactly the most social butterfly yourself, Mr. Garrett the Garbage Man. Yeah. And man, this scene with the principal, every scene with the principal is really offsetting to me. It's so uncomfortable, which I guess that means that it's a good actor. That it's a good actor that's able to do that, because it's just so hypersexual. And I was thinking about this. This is not really off the top of my head, but as we talk about it more, it comes back to me. Like, it seems like each character in this movie almost represents a different branch of philosophy, if you will. We see the principal. I would ascribe to her hedonism. She's chasing sexual desires, sexual pleasure. Hedonism, of course, is the philosophy that is all about pleasure. Just pleasure yourself as much as you can. Drown yourself in pleasure. That's her. She's always making sexual innuendos and remarks. And she seems to want, the only thing that she wants out of life is to have as much pleasurable experiences as she can, Talking with Gary the Garbage Man, this scene where she's talking about the raccoons and the trash can and the lids. You can take me out. Ugh. It's just so disgusting. She's hedonism. And let's see, Garrett the Garbage Man, you could say, would be more, Steve would probably be absurdism. Let's see, the Garrett the Garbage Man, I don't want to say nihilism, but that's the closest I can think of. Yeah, but you know, it's almost like each Minecraft character. I'd have to look more in depths of it. I'd have to look more in depth into it to find out which each one how they fit in with each branch of philosophy. But there is another cool thing where this lady is talking about her old husband.
You know, he's
And one of her
didn't have any
critiques of him
personality.
is that is that he had no personality, and it's almost it's funny how each character is almost for right now all it can apply to is the principal and Garrett the Garbage Man. Earlier, as I explained with Garrett the Garbage Man and his whole being a loser at life, classic loser mentality, but how he's actually probably one of the biggest losers in life right now. And then you have the principal who is complaining about her husband having no personality. Let's take a step back. What personality does this lady have? You know, what does she have? She's hypersexual and that's it? Like, who are you to critique someone else's personality? You've got nothing there. I mean, she is just a blank, nothing going on up here. The elevator doesn't go up to the penthouse. She's not the brightest crayon in the toolbox, yeah. So, I mean, it's just how, it's funny how each character makes a scathing critique of, well, in their cases, for Steve, it was a critique of the kid. For the principal, it was a critique of her husband. But, you know, you can these are a lot of critiques that people have about other people in this, generally in the world. So you could say that's, maybe that's a choice by the directors to say that this world is full of people that critique others, you know. Those hustlers and stuff that make the how to win at life videos, how to invest in Bitcoin and if you don't, you're a loser. And you need to take my course or you're a loser. And they end up being the biggest losers themselves. How a lot of dating gurus will be talking about personality or standards or what you need to look for in a woman or a man or your partner. And they never talk about how important it is to build yourself up, those traits in yourself first, so you can be someone worthy of having a partner. You know, like this principal was talking about no personality in her husband. She has no personality to speak of at all whatsoever. 0%. And, you know, maybe that's just a direct choice by the writers. Another comment on the meaningless drivel that our society outputs, the slop that consumes our mainstream today, and is put out there without much regard for how it makes us look. So then, in one of the pivotal scenes of the movie, as you're seeing right now, Jason Momoa is, you know, he finally breaks down. He finally admits that, you know, yeah, I try to play it off, and I'm not sure if we're supposed to, so I'm guessing what they want us to see is that he wasn't, like, deluded, he was just faking it till he made it. And he's breaking down now. He's like, man, I got no friends, I got no family. And maybe there is a little bit of self-delusion because he still thinks that he's, I don't know what it was, cool, funny, bilingual, handsome. He still thinks that that's there. And, maybe, you know, he is funny, I'll give him that. Not bilingual for sure, but. So he's finally breaking down and admitting, like, yeah, dude, I got no friends, no family, no wife, no kids, nothing. I got nothing, man. And it's just like, it is another scene that has to be delivered because, you know, why else would they include it? You know, it's making us wake up, making us, you know, our people with autonomy, realizing, you know, what we have that's important and what we need to get that's important. And, yeah, man, I mean, like, just another scene that really shows you how people in this town are living, very not purpose-led, no meaning. They're kind of just like, you know, going wherever they're taken. And yeah, so just this scene was another one in the movie. Yeah. So, and then we get to the end scene where Steve is debating if whether he should go back home or not. And I mean, again, like, okay, to do the math here, like, what is it? A day in Minecraft is like 20 minutes or something in real time. And I would assume that Steve's circadian rhythm, after enough time in there, would eventually adjust to this day cycle. You know, probably getting like what, 4. If we sleep for 8 hours, that's about a third of our day. So a third of 20 would be like what, 6, around 6, right? So he's sleeping 6 minutes every 20 minutes, and you figure that he gets used to this, right? And who knows how long he's been in there in real time. It has to be long enough where his room is, and we're not even known what happens to him in real life. You got to figure he's been reported missing or something, right? He's been gone for this long, reported murder or whatever, and like, you know, and eventually his stuff finds its way into a locker storage room. Sorry. So you have to figure that much to take that much time. Let's estimate it takes 2 months for him to get reported missing from work, whatever he did, or 2 weeks, sorry. And then a few more months for him to not pay. He's probably been in there for 3 months, right? Let's estimate 3 months that he's been in this Minecraft world. And for it to end up at a storage room auction, yeah. So 3 months. I did some of the math on this. I think I estimated 3 months in real time, in our time, was about 2,000 days. 2,000 days in Minecraft time. 2,000 days is about a little less than 10 years. My math might be off. I already recorded this part and I'm re-recording it, and I did all the math in that section. It's probably off. But point being, it's well over at least 5 years. So this guy has been living without human interaction for 5 years, and when his chance comes to go back to the real world, he doesn't take it right away, and that baffles me. That is, he has to be convinced of it. If I went at least 5 years without seeing other people, and I get the chance to be able to go back to be with real people, holy moly. It is not even funny how fast I would take that choice. Like, people need human interaction. You can be all like, oh, I'm so doomer and black-pilled, and I hate other people, and I just want to be alone. You need it. You will not be able to survive without social interaction alone. So even if we're suggesting that his circadian rhythm didn't adjust and he sees it 3 months alone, still 3 months alone, no other human interaction, I would be jumping at the bit to be with other humans. So it is just weird, this scene, right? Why it takes him so long. And now we're back to the ending of the movie, the resolution, if you will. And it doesn't really strike me as a good resolution. And I think it's essentially because the movie creators are assuming we're smart enough to see all these other scenes and know that it's supposed to be an existential horror movie. So this inclusion of this last scene is definitely a deliberate choice, I think, to be like one of those horror movies where the horror movie does not have a good ending. The monster is still out there, still prowling around, and it looks at you in the end. Grrr, and it's coming after you. And I think that's deliberate. But in this case, there's no monster. It's just the threat of a meaningless and no purpose-led life. And what we have is that, and kudos to my friend, because I didn't even think about this when I first saw the ending. You know, you get this typical happy ending, as you're seeing right now. Garrett the Garbage Man comes back. His store is the booming center of popularity in the town. Everyone's there. They're having a huge party. Jack Black is, Steve is there, you know, celebrating. Woohoo! Yeah! That's what it's all about! Come on! And, you know, the petting zoo is, yippee! It's operational and everybody's having fun. And a good, happy, feel-good ending. No! If you're smart, you know, me and you, viewers, we notice this. And other people won't. They'll think it's a good ending. They'll think good guys win, bad guys lose, you know, and they'll be like happy and content, and you know, but us, us watching, me and you, we know. We know that it's not a good ending. Because let's think about it, right? You think about it for more than 5 minutes. This is still an abandoned town. This is still, like, dilapidated. No one's there. And I'm assuming, you know, this video game store is not enough to drag this town into the spotlight, to the center of popularity. So this party that they're having, they're going to have this one day, and the next day it's going to be an empty store again. I mean, these people aren't going to come back for the same performance over and over again, you know. They're not little NPCs that will come back to watch the same exact performance of music by Jack Black and Jason Momoa. And I mean, there's only so many video games that you can buy, and these are all kids too. They don't have a stable source of income, and their parents, much less, aren't very rich because this is a poor area. So what are they buying? I'm sorry to say it, but Garrett the Garbage Man's store is still gonna struggle. Maybe he gets like another month's worth of rent to operate his store out of this, and that's it. And next month he's back to struggling again. You know, Steve, he's giving up this whole new world to come back, and who knows what he's doing financially. Maybe he's the co-owner of the Garrett the Garbage Man's store now, but that's even worse, because now he's got to pay Steve, and he's already struggling. So, that petting zoo, you know, maybe that brings in a little. If it's a really good petting zoo, which it doesn't look like it looks like the most generic petting zoo I've ever seen. Maybe that brings some popularity in for the town. Maybe it brings them in some tourism. Not much. It's not going to do much. It's just a petting zoo. There's no giraffes, no elephants, nothing exotic. I promise you it won't be doing that much. This is not a good ending. If you think about it, it is not a good ending in any way. All of these people will continue to go back and struggle. The kid, oh wow, he makes a jetpack and he's suddenly popular now. Alright, let's be real here. First of all, if jetpacks were even conceivable in the way that he did it, yeah, I don't think that would suddenly make him Mr. Popular or Mr. Joe Cool. And with the way that our society is now and how we have been so saturated with the newest, coolest thing, people would see this jetpack, they'd think it's cool maybe for like a month at most, and then they go back to picking on him because he's the he's the nerd, he's the unpopular kid, he's not, the kid's not gonna have a good ending either. I'm sorry to say it, but like no one in this movie gets a good ending. Oh, and this one scene I did want to talk about, you know, with the another way that people will blame their problems. You know, this girl, the older sister, right? She's talking about, oh, I wish I had a little more time to be a kid. I wish I had more chances to be a kid, you know, to be a kid a little bit longer, to have no responsibilities. And I feel like she's really projecting here, not projecting, conflating. She's really conflating her meaninglessness, her no purpose in her life with the problem. She's like, oh, you know, this would solve all of my problems. If I had the chance to be a kid a little while longer, I would be happy, you know, I'd be happy. I don't think that's the case. You know, maybe, alright, let's assume it was, right? You gotta be a kid for a little bit longer. You know, valid guardian. Her mom just died, though. Like, just died. We'll put, let's say she didn't even just die. We'll give her like a year. You know, the mom died, a year later, they're moving away. What, you gotta be a kid for about a year longer? She's an adult, obviously. She's over 18. So she was going to go to college off at some point, and she was going to get all these responsibilities, you know? What, so her getting to be a kid would have made her happy for, like, another year, maybe. That's it. You can't be like, that's another thing that it wants us to, we'll save that for later, right? The resolution, my advice to you. So, just a quick recap of the main points we've talked about. 3 different ways that the Minecraft movie explored existentialism, meaningless, and searching for a purpose. We have Garrett the Garbage Man, of course, who was so desperate to cling on to his old life because that gave him his purpose, and he would not change it even when it became apparent that it was no longer viable to support his lifestyle. We have Jack Black, Steve, who was so disillusioned with this life that he decided to completely embrace a whole new life and was a defendant of this life and wished to cling on to this with everything that he could and not leave, because it was a whole different experience. And then, of course, we have Henry the child. He doesn't really provide much depth. Ironically, being the main character, I'm not sure how much there is to warrant discussion of him, besides for that bit that I talked about with the Enderman. The Enderman, representing his insecurities about himself, but that's kind of shallow. It doesn't really go further than being confident in yourself. But lastly, we have the older sister, who thinks that she would have been able to be happy a bit longer if she wasn't given these many responsibilities so young. And while that may be true, it is still the case that she would have eventually incurred these responsibilities. None of these, in a way, are a very healthy way of coping, I think, with waking up to the realization that your life is not being lived as how you would want it to be. I do think you need a mix of every one of these, I do think you need a mix of everything, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. My advice to you in the end: first, I'm going to address what I think will give us meaning, and then second, I will address how you can take each response and incorporate some of that. Right, so first, what I think gives a person meaning, expanding past the Minecraft movie, I feel like you can find it in different ways. You can find it in a career, and I think it's important to find a career that is fulfilling to you, but that'll be an offshoot of a video. I'm thinking of making a video around like hustle culture, the mindset of money, and why it's actually detrimental, especially when it comes to choosing a job that may make you a lot of money, but is not necessarily spiritually fulfilling. Second, I think religion, specifically Christianity, is a very good and a voracious way to find meaning in your life. Voracious meaning truthful, not to be confused with voracious. It is truthful. You don't have to disillusion yourself by convincing yourself that it's the truth when it's not, because it is the truth. That is what I've been, that is what I believe sincerely, but I will make another video on Christianity, of course. It's another offshoot, future video. And third is family. I think family is very important, as these aren't ranked in order of importance. Of course, if they were, it'd probably be religion, family, and then career, but they just were order of what they came to my mind. And then you have family. Having a family, choosing to make sacrifice, I think that actually falls under sacrifice. Choosing to make sacrifices, in a way, is pretty much fulfilling, because in the back of your mind, you know that you're making these sacrifices for the good of other people, and I feel that that is very fulfilling. But yeah, sorry, that got a little intense there. I know that I was smoldering into the camera while dropping these truth bombs, but so in a way that we can look at the three different responses. Firstly, it is good to explore new things, for sure. Being stuck in a routine with the same old things, being stuck with the same old settings, doing the same thing every day, that can get boring. So if you do need to take a vacation, maybe to somewhere new, if you just need to have new experiences, maybe look for a new club or a new sport that don't go all in, something that I've never tried before. Like if you've never done sports and you're like, all right, I want to go try some rec game and I have absolutely no athletic experience, don't do that, because it'll ruin your first experience, and it's just gonna disencourage you as a whole. So just start, a little soft, maybe like a reading club or something, if you're able to read, as I am. A reading club, a little club, something new, something different from your daily routine. But secondly, taking from Garrett the Garbage Man, it's important to not lose sight of what you do already love and what you have. But you don't want to oversaturate yourself with it. You don't want to ruin it. You don't want to engage in it so much that it ruins your experience of the activity, where it's no longer giving you that same dopamine. where it's no longer as novel or as genuine. It's not always, no matter how little you do it, it won't be as novel as the first time you did it. But it is important to remember how, how good it made you feel. And it's important to not always be going after something new, to be able to delight in the, like that one quote, it's ordinary to see the beautiful. It's ordinary to love the beautiful, but it's beautiful to love the ordinary. Something that you already do. Don't forget what the little pleasures that you already have that make you happy. And then taking from the girl. First of all, I think responsibility is a good thing. If, for example, a lot of when I don't have school, when I don't have a structure, I feel kind of lost. Like I feel like I'm not contributing enough. I feel like I can't find my ways to make myself feel useful. But outside of that, like, in the summer, not having a job nor going to school, not having responsibility makes me feel like not contributing. Not in a way that, not to say that it doesn't mean that I don't have value, right? I believe everyone has value inherently, but just that I'm not doing as much as I could be. At the same time, don't feel like you have to be an adult too much. Don't feel like you have to be so strict and serious all the time. You can always have fun. It's always great to be a child. I think it's a wonderful thing to be able to laugh and not care necessarily about what other people think of you, You should always be able to laugh like a child. But that is my advice, so there we go. Officially, my first video completed. I hope you liked watching. I hope to make content this good. I hope this isn't set too high of a bar. That because most likely I'm not putting like this much. I'm gonna put a lot of effort into my videos, but not like this level. But this was just like, this was my idea for the channel. This video was my original idea, so I wanted to put a lot of effort into this. So I hope you liked it. Comment down below what you think. If you also got this while watching this movie. And if you're watching my channel, you probably did get this while watching this movie, because this channel is for us intellectual thinkers, us erudite thinkers. Oh, channel name reference. So, yeah. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe, because I will be making more content like this, and this brain nourishment content that you can feel good about. Ching. Bye. Not necessarily sure. I should probably think of an outro or something, huh?